Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Analysis for UPSC 2025, or we can say IAS 2025. It is 19th July today and we are going to discuss six most important articles which were in the Hindu newspaper. We take the most important articles which are relevant to your exam and we crack them down in the simplest language and try to give the most information from them. And also, before we start this discussion about the current daily news analysis, I would like to introduce you guys this channel. Every day we upload two videos. First one, it is related to the current affairs discussion. In this is like this video, we discuss the most important articles in it which are relevant to your exam. And in the next video, we upload the daily quiz session in which we discuss at least 10 questions every day which are related to the current affairs, so that it will give you the idea how the current affairs could be asked in the exam, and also it will help you in revising the current affairs. Second, we also discuss the previous year questions asked in the previous year exams, so that it will give you the idea how the questions were framed in previous year exams. And by studying them very well, by analyzing those questions, it will definitely help you in eliminating many options in the upcoming exam. So with this, I would like to take a moment to request you guys, please do subscribe to this channel. And when you subscribe, it gives us the energy, it motivates us to work more hard on it. It feels like the appreciation from you guys, and it feels like the success of this initiative. So without any delay, let's start our discussion. Before we start, just let's have a look on the topics which we have to discuss today. These are the articles. First one, India and a case for strategic autonomy. After PM's visit to the Russia, India has been the hub of discussion for the West, and there are many eyeballs on the India. Then after the second article, which is about the issues with the tree plantation schemes done by various countries. Then the third, trade tract. It was basically a data-based a data-based article, but we had to crack the what are the trends in it, so we would discuss it with regarding to the trends. Then the fourth article, it is regarding the role of finance commission. Fifth, it was about the climate part of green impact report. And sixth, the elephant deaths in Kerala. So with this, let's start our discussion. First, by looking at the first article, it is India and a case of strategic autonomy. Since the PM's visit to Russia, there had been many eyeballs on India and India's approach towards the Russia, and especially towards the Russia-Ukraine war. This visit of PM Modi, it was the first visit of Modi after he was re-elected, and also it was the first visit after the Russia-Ukraine war for PM Modi to visit Russia. So there has been a huge there had been huge eyeballs on India. West has already warned India to not go for this visit, because at that time it coincided with the NATO summit, and that the coincidence of this visit with the NATO summit, it did not go well with the West, because they feel that India has West ko matlab India is moving towards the Russia, and also US and its allies had warned India that Russia is not the मतलब कि वो उतना reliant partner नहीं है for India, because if in case there would be any war between India and China, Russia would definitely support China in that case. We had already discussed about it. So in today's article, what we have to discuss, the main point is about the strategic autonomy. What is that? It is if we have to define the strategic autonomy, we can say it is any particular country to keep its interests first. So that is मतलब कि अपने interests को पहले रखना. और फॉर एग्जांपल हम इसको एक एग्जांपल से अंडरस्टैंड करेंगे. जब रशिया और यूक्रेन का वॉर स्टार्ट हुआ, तो सो देयर वर मनी सैंक्शंस ऑन रशिया. So when there were many sanctions on Russia, the trade of Russia मतलब उसको drastic impact हुआ. It got impacted very badly, because जो उनके साथ मतलब ट्रेड कर रहे थे, for example Germany or other European countries, they sanctioned Russia. So Russian oil was very much easily available. For that, India took this as an opportunity and they started doing trade with the Russia, irrespective of the sanctions from the West. They put their personal interests first. मतलब उन्होंने नहीं देखा कि यूक्रेन के साथ क्या होता है. We did not saw, मतलब हमने ये नहीं देखा कि what is happening in the world. We did not saw कि what are the sanctions on Russia. But we, जो हमारी personal interests थे, क्योंकि जो हमारे यहाँ the cost of the oil was skyrocketing. So to reduce that, we did trade with the Russia, or we brought the cheap oil from the Russia and put our interests first, and it definitely helped our economy. It helped us to get away from the inflation. So that is the strategic autonomy. Whatever the other countries feel, what is your, मतलब कि जो भी दूसरे countries feel करते हैं, जो आपका what is the need of your country, you have to put that first. So with respect to the strategic autonomy, there are two main pillars in it. मतलब इसमें दो ऐसी चीजें हैं जो एक country में होनी चाहिए. First one, country is capable to make its own decisions for its interests, whatever suits country's interest. For example, एक country, मतलब strategic autonomy में, मतलब एक country को वो capability होनी चाहिए कि वो डिसीजन ले जो उसके इंटरेस्ट को सूट करता है. फॉर एग्जांपल, इंडिया ने लिया अपना डिसीजन कि दे विल ट्रेड विद रशिया इन Russian oil, for example, in importing the Russian oil, in importing cheap Russian oil. Also, the second important, एक तो यही first important was to capable to make its own decisions. Second important thing was countries' independence to make the choices. देखिए उस वक्त इंडिया के पास भी choices था, either to stand against Russia and stay with the Western bloc, or go for its own self interests. But it was our choice. We were independent to go for our self own interests. So these are two things in this strategic autonomy. First one, a country is capable to make its own decisions for its interests. Second, country's independence to make its choices for, मतलब कि अगर if there are outside blocks, they are forcing country to do something, and you are capable to go against them and doing something which is for your self-interest. So this is called the strategic autonomy. You see, on this basis we will understand another concept, मतलब कि ऐसी country जिसकी strategic autonomy has hurt in this, मतलब in this war. For example, हम लेंगे example Germany की. They had great oil exports from the gas imports from the Russia, but due to the COVID, due to this Russia-Ukraine war, there was sanctions on Russia, and Germany stopped this trade with the Russia. Because of this sanction, it has impacted Germany more than Russia, because Germany was forced to go for the other means, for example, go for coal and other means to survive, and it led to the inflation in the country. And also जो उनका एक पर्सपेक्टिव रहा है फॉर क्लाइमेट चेंज के लिए, मतलब वेस्ट का कि क्लाइमेट को बचाओ, वो सब करो, इट ऑल वेंट इनटू वेन. बिकॉज जब उन पे बात आई कि जब उनके पास रिसोर्सेज एक तरह से खत्म हुए एज देयर ओन सैंक्शंस ऑन देमसेल्व्स, मतलब कि दे सैंक्शन रशिया, बट अगर हम इसके अंदर देखेंगे तो also sanctioned themselves, their own country, in trading with Russia. Because of that कि जो उनको गैस मिलता था from Russia, oil मिलता था Russia, they were not able to buy that, so they were forced to buy the costly oil from other countries, or they were forced to go for the fossil fuels. And because of the fossil fuels, we know that how much it impacts the environment. So this is the case of the failed strategic autonomy of a country. So इसी के साथ अगर जर्मनी के कंटेक्स्ट में हम देखेंगे, जो हम नॉर्थ स्ट्रीम पाइपलाइन जो उन्होंने सैंक्शन की थी, मतलब विच वाज बिटवीन द रशिया एंड जर्मनी, and they stopped it because of the war. And because of this stopping of the Nord Stream pipeline जो destroy हुई because of the war, मतलब कि war की वजह से destroy भी हुई, तो उसकी वजह से not only Germany got impacted but other European countries also got impacted by that. मतलब कि उनको they cut the energy supplies, और उसकी वजह से that led to the inflation in the Europe. और अगर हम देखेंगे इसकी वजह से, और ये बस इतना ही नहीं रहा, इसकी वजह से their hotels were shut down, मतलब उनका बिजनेस पे इम्पैक्ट आया, उनके होटल्स पे इम्पैक्ट आया, उनके रेस्टोरेंट्स पे इम्पैक्ट आया, because those restaurants were not able to fulfill the needs, they were not able to fulfill the money required for getting the costlier, मतलब कि costly मतलब कि महंगा ऑयल या तेल कुछ भी हो, महंगा गैस, दे वर नॉट एबल टू अफोर्ड दैट. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट उनकी कंट्रीज में इन्फ्लेशन हुआ और देयर मनी businesses in their country got shut down. So we in this article we discussed two cases. First, we discussed the case of India, our strategic autonomy, our capability to make decision, and our independence to make the decision. We made the decision, we traded with Russia, and we saved our self interests. और दूसरे साइड में हमने देखा जर्मनी का, उन्होंने अपना मतलब कि दे डिड नॉट केप्ट देयर सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट फर्स्ट. उन्होंने यूएसए की मतलब यूएसए एंड अदर कंट्रीज अराउंड देम, उन्होंने उनकी चीज़ें मतलब कि उनके डिमांड्स को they kept their demands high over their self interest. Because of that they suffered a lot, they went into the inflation. और इसमें और एक चीज़ हमें हमने समझनी है. We have to understand one more thing in this. Another thing which we have to understand from this is जो वेस्ट का approach towards India. They always wanted that India should मतलब कि world should be seen in two poles, either into two pillars, either West against USSR back then, West against Russia in 90s, West against China right now. But for India it is not the case. For India we have the multi-alignment, even though we have many differences with the different countries, but whenever it comes to the self-interest of our country, we put these differences aside and we work for the self-interest of our own country. What is required for us, we go for that. We had seen our relationship our relationship with the US, that hurts Russia, the trade we are doing with the US, but we are still doing it because we put our self interests first. और दूसरी बात अगर हम देखेंगे इंडिया और रशिया का जो ये है trade, India and Russian relationship, it is not from last 1 or 2 years. It has seen at least 50 years. From last 50 years we are doing, our relationship has been the best. जो हमारा defense है, it comes from the 40% of the defense comes from Russia. 80% of defense equipments are from Russian origin. We are diverse, but we are not keeping our trade with Russia only, but we are diversifying our international basket with other countries also. बट इसमें एक इम्पैक्ट आता है जो वेस्ट का है. देयर इज नो मिडल पाथ फॉर रशिया, इधर इट इज वाइट और ब्लैक, देयर इज नो ग्रे एरिया फॉर west. Either you have to support the US led allies or you are against them. There is no gray area for west, but for India it is multipolar. We are self independent to work with any country we want to, for ourselves, for our own strategic autonomy, for our own self interests. और दूसरी बात जो इस आर्टिकल में लिखी थी जो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, वही फॉर जो मतलब कि when there was this meet going to happen between PM and the Russian president, at that time the US had told PM, Indian council, Indian officers, that they should postpone this visit, ताकि it should not coincide with the visit with the summit of NATO. But India did not agree to that. It is said that because of that there are some hiccups between the relationship between India and US. Also, now let's have some look on some imports. India imports Russian oil. Some more information about it. India imports Russian oil. Demand of the oil did not spiral. मतलब कि जो राइट नाउ द डिमांड ऑफ द ऑयल है, बिकॉज ऑफ द रशियन ऑयल इट डिड नॉट स्पाइरल. और उसकी वजह से क्या हुआ, जो हम रशियन ऑयल वो इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, उसकी वजह से अगर हम देखेंगे एक ब्रॉडर व्यू देखेंगे इसका, इफ वी विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड इट इन द ब्रॉडर पर्सपेक्टिव, तो वी विल फाइंड वन थिंग दैट बाय डूइंग द ऑयल ट्रेड विद द रशिया, वी हैड नॉट ओनली we had not only benefited our country, but other countries had also benefited from it. मतलब कि जो European countries है, they had also benefited from it. For example, demand of the oil जो हमने from Russia oil खरीदा है, we had done trade with the Russia. Because of that, the demand of the oil has decreased. Oil prices has decreased, or we can say they had remained stable. Many European countries came out of the recession because of that. मतलब कि जब oil stable हुआ तो they were able to buy the oil and they came out of the recession. our overall exports have increased, domestic production increased, GDP goes up, more jobs were created. Indo-Russia, and because of that, the Indo-Russia relationship has done some good to the world also. जो हमने ट्रेड किया with Russia, we brought their oil, we brought the price of the oil stable, and it led many European countries out of the recession. Now let's have a final look what we discussed in this article. देखिए इस आर्टिकल में हमने कुछ चीज़ें पढ़ी. पहली बात, जो पीएम की विजिट थी टू रशिया, इट हैड we had seen lot of criticism from the West and the US. क्यों? Because they did not like the closeness of India and Russia at the time when it is said that Russia is violating human rights in Ukraine. They had attacked Ukraine and they had, you know, मतलब कि they are bullying Ukraine. So उस time it was not the better time. और दूसरी बात, at the same time there was NATO summit and US does not want India to go there because it is the country as मतलब कि it is something, अगर हम अपनी लफ्ज़ों में understand करेंगे in a layman's language, मतलब कि एक jealousy type की है कि they should not support them, it is better for them to support us. But India का approach is not that. India has a strategic autonomy. हमने देखा कैसे despite the sanctions on the Russia, India has still traded with Russia, and they had put their country's self-interests first, and because of that, एक तो उन्होंने अपनी countries की self-interest पहले ही रखी. They put their country's self-interests first, and they got benefited from that. If you remember, I will take another example here. For the example of Pakistan, you would understand the difference between the Pakistan's autonomy and India's autonomy. When India was doing trade with Russia, the US can't do anything to India because India is so sovereign. India is independent in making its choice. That is why there are two parameters. First, ability to make the decision, and second, the independence to make the decision. When during the Imran Khan government, Imran Khan tried to develop his relationship with Russia, he tried to do his trade with Russia, his government was toppled because there was no such independence for them. So here we can draw the example, the independence of our country. और दूसरे एग्जाम्पल हम देखेंगे, जर्मनी ने they supported the West, and what happened to them? They went into the inflation because they did not put their interests first. Then जो वेस्ट कैसे देखता है इस मतलब दुनिया को, they want to see it in the two polar world. For example, when it was USSR, it was then US and USSR. When it was Russia, Russia in its peak, it was US and Russia, and now it is US and China. But for India, it is not like that. For India, it is the multi-alignment. First we believed in non-alignment, then we shifted towards the multi-alignment, क्योंकि we put our self-interests first. और फिर उसी की वजह से we did our trade with Russia, and this trade does not only impacted India but it impacted the European countries also. Because of the trade between India and Russia, the oil prices got stable, and because the oil prices got stable, the many European countries went out from the recession. So this was in nutshell about the India and case of strategic autonomy. It was in nutshell about this article. Moving forward, we have another article here. It talks about the issue with tree plantation. You know, why do we do plantation? Because we want to restore the degraded forests. But we should know why forests are degraded. Why were the forests why there was deforestation? What were the causes of deforestation? अगर हम देखेंगे, mainly there are, if we divide this cause of deforestation, in history 10 million square kilometers are deforested, degraded. What was the cause of that? So mainly we can divide it into three causes. First one, extension of agriculture, because the population increases and the land for the agriculture was available was less, so we have to move towards the forests. पहली बात. Second, the collection of wood, we need timber, all that stuff for burning, for infrastructure and other stuff. For that we need timber, and we have to cut for furniture and other stuff we do. For that we needed timber, and we did deforestation. And the third third way why, third reason why we did deforestation, so much deforestation, just because of the infrastructure and construction. We needed buildings, we needed roads and all that stuff, we needed connectivity, so we did this. So these were the causes of deforestation in broader perspective. First, why are countries going for plantation? Because we had degraded over 10 million square kilometers of land. Why we did so? Because why we had degraded so much land? Why we did deforestation? Because we went for extensive agriculture, we needed the collection of wood, and we needed infrastructure and construction. But to stop this, because of this deforestation, there is huge impact on the world, huge impact on the earth itself. We are going into the global warming. Temperatures are rising, and carbon concentration in the atmosphere is increasing. So to reduce all this, we need plants as हब, ये उनको एक टेम्परेचर को कम करे, वो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड के कंसंट्रेशन को कम करे. फॉर दैट वी नीड प्लांट्स, एंड so for this we need to plant more trees. And because of that, the UN declared from 2021 to 2030 decade of ecosystem restoration. In this, many countries had their own initiatives to plant more trees. This is very this plantation drives. There we had seen plantation drives in every country. It is very vital for ecosystem. We see significant amount of carbon storage from trees, so that it is important. We see they act as natural coolings. It helps in fighting urban heat island effect. Also, they are natural recharge of groundwater, maintaining of water cycle. Also, it helps in controlling disasters, for example landscapes, floods, and etc. Maintenance of biodiversity. For all these stuff, we need plants, we need more plantation. With this respect, we had seen many initiatives brought up by different organizations or countries. For example, 1 trillion project brought by WEF. We had seen 10 billion tree tsunami. It was brought by the Pakistan. Very strange. We see Great Green Wall. We can guess it was brought up by China. And also we see the Bonn Challenge, government of Germany brought it. These were the drives or initiatives brought by different countries and organizations. But there are some challenges to it. It is not only you go and plant wherever you want to. There are some challenges. For example, first, we cannot alter the natural ecosystem. For example, there is some grassland. We cannot go there and plant trees. We will definitely alter the natural ecosystem there. We will damage the species there, and we can increase the invasive species there, and the natural species have to move away from it, and it will definitely impact the ecosystem there. So first thing we have to keep in the eyes, we have to keep it in the mind that we cannot plant wherever we want. We have to study, we have to do the proper study about that, and do it in a proper way. We don't have to damage the natural ecosystem. Second, we have to maintain this survivability of the saplings. It is not only to plant the tree and go wherever you want to go. मतलब कि आप जब प्लांट एक पौधे को प्लांट करते फिर taking a picture with that we plant a tree, it is not all about that. Plant will not grow itself. You have to water it. You have to take the मतलब कि you have to take this duty to survive the plant. You have to keep this in the mind, the survivability of the plant. And also मतलब कि हम ऐसे मतलब कि एक स्टाइलिश वे में नहीं प्लांट कर सकते. वी हैव टू मतलब जिस तरह एक फॉरेस्ट में प्लांट्स होते, वी हैव टू प्लांट देम इन दैट वे सो दैट द नेचुरल इकोसिस्टम चेंज ना हो. So in this way, there is a concept of tree islands. हमें in a small area go for the large plantation. It will survive the need of the time. So this was about the issues with the tree planting schemes. We had seen 1 trillion project, 10 billion tree tsunami, Great Green Wall, and Bonn Challenge. And also we discussed about the challenges with respect to it, and we discussed the plantation, we discussed the causes for deforestation. Now moving to the next article, it talks about the trade tract. For the month of June, if we see the exports are rising, we don't need to remember the numbers because they are irrelevant for your exams. And But what is important here, we have to understand, we have to try to understand the concept behind it, and what we can track from that, what we can get from that. Exports had started to increase, they are rising, and the import figures are coming down, which leads to the trade deficit is slowly narrowing. तो इसका वजह से मतलब कि ये पहला इम्पोर्टेंट ट्रेंड इसमें है. Exports are rising, we have to remember that imports are coming down, और जिसकी वजह से trade deficit slowly narrow हो रहा है. Then also we also see that oil imports are has increased. पर अगर हम देखें oil imports are increasing, what does it mean? Is it good news for our country or is it bad news? There are two perspectives to that. Why our oil imports are increasing? There might be the domestic oil, we are not able to produce oil domestically that much, that may be the reason. Or we can say that oil imports are increasing because we are transporting much, so we are contributing to the company. There is much logistic cost, so we are growing much, we are producing much, there is transportation is happening, good movement is happening, economy is, so which means the economy is doing very well. Export of refined oils had also declined, that is an issue. But अगर हम देखेंगे ऑयल इंपोर्ट्स क्यों इंक्रीज हुए, तो उसमें ये चीज़ें भी आ सकती है कि लॉजिस्टिक्स इंक्रीज हुआ है, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन इंक्रीज हुआ है, जो प्रोडक्शन हमने की है दैट हैज़ इंक्रीज. ऑल्सो दूसरी चीज़ हमने देखी, डिक्रीज इन द गोल्ड इंपोर्ट्स, मतलब कि गोल्ड इंपोर्ट जो मतलब हो रहा था उसमें हमने डिक्रीज देखी. इज इट गुड? डज इट मीन दैट पीपल हैव लेस मनी इन द हैंड? मे बी, बट देयर इज अनदर point of view to it also. There हम वो क्या है, there we are spending much on other things, मतलब other important things which are necessary. We are spending we are spending in economy, and so economy is increasing. So अगर हम फिर उसके बाद देखेंगे increase in non gold and non oil imports. So it अगर जो हमने decrease in gold imports में पढ़ा कि we are spending much in the economy, so इसको further support करने के लिए there is another point in it. It says increase in non gold and non oil imports, so we are spending on different things also, so we are contributing to the economy. So here are some challenges we had tracked in this article. For example, decline in oil exports, our oil exports had declined. We had seen decline in gems and jewelry imports, and also we had seen a sharp rise in silver imports. So here the sharp rise in silver imports, if you had been with me from last 1 month, from last 18 days in precise, you would know the reason for that, why there is sharp rise in the silver imports. We had taken this article, the India UAE free trade agreement, we had discussed this in detail. If you don't know, please go through my previous videos, you would definitely come through this concept. अगर आपके लिए मैं थोड़ा कहूँगा, because there are some मतलब थोड़ी सी ये हो रही है, थोड़ा सा violation of some rules because of that, and in the gift city of Gujarat there are some violation is happening. Because of that there is sharp rise in this silver imports in our country, violation of the free trade agreement between India and UAE. Going forward, we have the role of the Finance Commission. It is also one of the important article of today's discussion, and it is the most important article with respect to the Indian economy, Indian polity. We should know that the 16th Finance Commission was formed, in 2023 itself. About Finance Commission, we should know that it is the constitutional body. It comes under the Article 280. It recommends to the government. It recommends to the government about the devolution of the funds, but it is up to the government whether to accept that or not. Usually it is accepted. It is formed after every 5 years, and in finance it helps in the division of funds between the both horizontal and vertical. That is, if by horizontal we mean between the states, from one state to another state, and vertical we mean from center to state. About there are some issues when we talk about the horizontal distribution. It is from state to state. For example, we will take an example of the state Tamil Nadu and Bihar. There the funds given to Tamil Nadu are less as compared to Bihar, but the contribution Tamil Nadu has shown is more than the contribution Bihar has shown. So there are some challenges. The states are saying that, the states like Tamil Nadu are saying that whatever the good we have done to GDP of our country, we do need to be punished for that. For example, they were able, for a Kerala ki example, they were able to maintain the birth rate, they were able to maintain the population, and they were able to spend in infrastructure. Tamil Nadu, they were able to spend in infrastructure. They became developed state as compared to Bihar. But मतलब कि उनका जो इन्वेस्टमेंट रहा है फ्रॉम 70s 80s इट वाज इन द डेवलपमेंट, लेकिन उसकी बिना पर दे आर गेटिंग लेस मनी. अगर हम देखेंगे रेशो पैसे का, फॉर एवरी 1 रुपी इट इज सेड दैट दे गेट ओनली 29 पैसा, and for Bihar, for every 1 rupee they get 7 rupees. So this is the difference, how much money is given to the Bihar and Tamil Nadu. So there are some disturbances in the horizontal distribution. So this is the challenge for the 16th Finance Commission to look into it. And also there is vertical distribution. What is vertical distribution? Is from center to state. For that we have to understand that what was the vertical distribution given by the different finance commissions. For example, for the 13th Finance Commission, it was only 32% of funds by center given to states. For 14th Finance Commission, it was 42% of funds from center to state, and for 15th Finance Commission, it was reduced to 41%. So right now it is the challenge for the Finance Commission to recommend it. Also, they have to look into the grievances of the state. Majority of the schemes and welfare measures the states bring in, they need money for that, and they are not paid according to the schemes they bring in. और दूसरी बात, जो finance is available to state, अगर हम देखेंगे the sources of money available to center, it is income tax, corporate tax, GST, and surcharges and cess. And for state it is only liquor, some petroleum and stamp duties, only very little source of income for states as compared to center. And also states are providing services, and they need more money for that. And also here the Finance Commission has to look into the issue of the cess and surcharges, because it is the money which the states don't share with this, which the center don't share with the states, and states are demanding that center should also share this much money to the with states. It is said that if the cess and surcharges are connected with the taxes center gets and it distributes to the states, then the amount would reduce from 40% to 30s, because they are not, center is not distributing from the cess and surcharges. So it is one of the challenge that this Finance Commission has to look into. And also another challenge is about the funding the local bodies. For example, funding is less than 3% as compared to the other countries. For example, in China, it is supposed to be about 50% funding to the local bodies. Also, there is a problem of distribution, as we already studied. Problem of distribution within the states. States doing well does not mean they get punished for that. So they have to look this also. Now coming to the another important article, very small article here, climate part of the green impact report. अगर हम इसमें देखेंगे, for example, कोई industry बनती है किसी जगह, तो the pollution it creates, the noise it creates, मतलब जो harm environment को impact करता है, so all that they have to keep into the mind, they have to calculate all that. और ना कि सिर्फ वही जो waste वो produce करता है या noise produce करता है या smoke, they don't only have to take the burden of that, but they have to take the burden of when जब वो construct हो रहा है, मतलब कितना उस वक्त construction के वक्त भी वो कितना नुकसान करते हैं environment को. So all these issues have to be taken into the consideration for the well-being of the environment. So it is very simple article. In it we also studied how these industries lead to the global warming, and these industries lead to the heat waves, and because of these the people living around them, they suffer from many diseases, and maybe the pollution from the industries in the solid waste, or maybe the effect of which they have on the environment. Because of all this, the impact they have on the people, the adverse impact they have on the people are dying because of the diarrhea, because of the pollution they produce, because of the heat, because the contribution of the heat to the heat waves. So all this they have to keep into the consideration. In this we have the concept of environment impact assessment. They have to assess all these things, how it can impact the environment, and they have to work according to that. So this was about this article in nutshell. Nothing much interesting in it. Now the last article, it talks about the 800 elephants have died in the Kerala since last 8 years. it is not any new news in Kerala, but right now all these elephants don't die because of the man-animal conflict. All these elephants did not die because of the accidents, but majority of them died because of the virus infection. And the virus infection is endotheliotrophic herpes virus. Because of that, these elephants died. It mainly impacts the calf elephants, the newborn elephants. And it is said that when the calf elephants are within the herd of many elephants, their survivability increases. Because of that, their immunity has increased. And also about the virus, it is the double-stranded DNA. It belongs to the family of herpes viridae. So with this, we conclude today's discussion. I hope you like the video. I hope you will share it, and I hope you will definitely subscribe the channel. So before we end this today's discussion, I would like to to recap what we had studied so far. We discussed about the India case for strategic autonomy, how India's PM's visit to Russia has raised many eyeballs, has raised many questions from the West, how they are trying to impact the India's strategic autonomy, but how India has it is capable to make its own decision, and how the India is independent to make its decision, and how India puts its self-interests first. With respect to that, we discussed the case of Pakistan also, we discussed the case of Germany also. We discussed the case of Pakistan with respect to the Imran Khan government when he tried to improve his relation with Russia and his government was toppled. And we discussed it with respect to the Germany when they followed the sanctions and they led their country into the inflation. Then finally we discussed about India-Russia relation, little bit about its trade and other issues. Then we discussed about the issues with the tree plantation scheme. We discussed about the causes of deforestation, for example, extension of agriculture done by the Indonesia, also collection of wood, infrastructure and construction. We discussed about the various initiatives brought up by different countries, for example, 1 trillion project brought by WEF, also 10 billion tree tsunami brought by Pakistan, and Great Green Wall of China brought by China. And also we discussed the challenges with respect to that. Then we discussed about the trade track. We saw that our exports are increasing, our imports are decreasing. We saw that the trade deficit is coming down. We also saw that the oil imports had increased. What could be the impact of the oil imports? What does it mean? And we discussed about the decrease in the gold imports. We discussed about the increase in the non-gold and non-oil imports. We discussed about the challenges, for example, decline in oil exports, decline in gas and jewelry, and also sharp rise in silver imports. Then we discussed about the role of the Finance Commission, the 6th Finance Commission, which was formed last year. We discussed about its mention in Article 280. It is the constitutional body. We discussed about its role of devolution of funds, both vertical and horizontal. The horizontal devolution is based on the formula, and the horizontal distribution is based on the formula, and vertical distribution is done. That is pre-decided. There is no certain formula for that. And also we discussed what are the grievances of the states regarding to the devolution of funds. And finally we discussed about the climate part of green impact report, and we discussed environment impact assessment. Its origin belongs to the late 1960s, when there was boom of industrial revolution, and the pollution produced by the industries was rising. There was global warming was the main concern. With respect to that, we discussed it. And finally, the last article about the elephant deaths in Kerala, the reason, the virus, which is endotheliotrophic herpes virus. It is a double-stranded DNA, and it belongs to the family herpes viridae. So this was about it. So with this we conclude today's discussion. Please do subscribe the channel and share this with your friends. When you subscribe, it will definitely give me more motivation. Thank you very much for staying with me.